appreciate our Wednesday agenda. So while we are waiting on her to come on with us, let me give you guys some updates. We have the 35 Black businesses who have come on board. It took us 3 years to get here, 1,000 days, but that's because of all the stuff we have to deal with as a people at all times. So that's a big part of it. And now that we have this piece of paper, this document showing 35 Black businesses coming together, I believe it's going to be make it easier for Gary 35 businesses to come on board, Detroit 35, and so forth. All right, I'm going to talk about that later. We have the queen of the hour here. Is that you, Tracy, there?
Hold on. Yeah.
Well, this is a beautiful picture here.
Hold on. Let me, I'm just getting on.
Yes, ma'am. I was creating a buffer in between you getting on. So I know I caught you off guard asking you to get on super last week. So I appreciate it.
Hold on. I wanted to share, Reuben, I needed to send Reuben the link.
Excellent. Yep. Also, I think Reuben is on my YouTube audience, so he's gonna get it on both levels.
Okay.
Excellent. So you told him already, huh? What did he say?
He was like, huh? Wait a minute. I said, I just got off the phone with him.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Let me put my video on. Share. There I am.
You know, I was gonna get on you like, wait a minute, we're not gonna be able to see you. We're only gonna be able to look at a picture.
Right. Hold on 1 second. Well, that's my Twitter. Okay. Can you see?
You being fancy, I don't know how to do all that. One day I learned
with the back. Well, you know what? I don't even know how to get it off. I don't even know why it's stuck in the background, because I thought I was doing it for when I didn't want to get on video. So it's just up there. So it's pretty. Yeah. Do I look like her?
No, I like it.
Yeah. Thank you. Hold on. So yes, I'm Tracy.
No, definitely. Yeah. Well, Tracy, I mean, for one, thank you for the short notice getting on, and it's recording and it's streaming on YouTube live as well. So you'll be able to pass this on forever. But I want to really dive into, first and foremost, how we met, what you do, and where you're going. And so let's dive in. Reuben Fellows got me on the Zoom. I saw your name and what you do, and I copied it down. I said, I'm gonna call this lady, whether she like it or not, we're gonna see what her spirit is. And did that today. And look at us a few minutes later with you on here. So it's just amazing. And so thank you for short notice getting on, but tell our audience who you are. And we've just been joined by the connector extraordinaire, Reuben Fellows, as well.
Okay. My name is Tracy Quinn, and I am CEO of Pink Hats Construction and Development Group, also founder of Truth About Christ Ministries, and co-founder of Women of Wealth Empowerment Group. I am a single mother of 4 beautiful daughters, and I have one little glammy princess who's out there in Alabama.
Now, Reuben, are you on, Reuben? Let's see if Reuben is on, because Reuben I know, tell us about you as well. Reuben, you there?
Yeah.
No. I thought we would have had it. Because Reuben, hey, Reuben, thanks for getting on, man.
Jacked up, but I'm here. Hello?
We can hear you.
I was singing her praises, Reuben. And so for her to get on the Zoom with me today, I'm ultra excited. But can you tell our audience, before she go into detail, what makes her special?
Man, my phone is going in and out, man.
Are you there, Reuben?
Yeah, my phone is jacked up. Can you hear me now? Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah, my phone is going in and out. It's jacked up in some data. But can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound loud and clear on our end.
Okay. Well, no, man, I'm just delighted to be on the call and meet Sister Tracy, the work she's doing, The women are doing great things. They're stepping up to the plate, getting their paperwork together, getting their lives together so they can take us to the next level of economic and building community, sustainable communities and families. So I'm just proud of, I've been running with her for a little while, about a month and a half now. And brother, she's running fast and running good and doing good work. So I'm just honored that you'd have on the show. But we're building an army of the Block Club University, the business community. So it's fitting on the 100-year anniversary that we have women of her caliber.
Uh-oh. You just went out, Reed.
So, yeah, so my phone is jacked up, but you got a great queen on here. She's doing phenomenal work, and my phone is act up, so I'll be quiet.
Okay. Salute to you, Reed. We owe you, man, because you connecting all the dots, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So going back to you, Queen, you say you're a mother of 4 daughters, huh?
Yes, sir.
Now, where you born and raised at, though?
Born and raised Chicago, Illinois, 20th in Michigan, and Long Grove.
Long Grove. Are those the projects? Long Grove?
Long Grove is a high rise, right across the street from the Crane building, so we're at 2001 South Michigan. Crane is 2101. Then you had the Al Capone Hotel. So we're right now. The projects, the Ickeys and the Hilliards, are right up the street off of State Street.
Okay.
Yeah, but we were in the high rise. We used to battle them. No, we used to battle in Double Dutch and Cheers. You know, they know that pop it, stop saying rock it. Yeah.
So at least I know you got some you from the hood. You got some toughness about you.
Yes, definitely born and raised, went to school 29th and Wabash at St. James. Catholic school up into 8th grade, then transitioned over to St. Martin de Porres for high school, and then moved to and finished high school in Valparaiso, Indiana. This is when they were moving families out of the Cabrini Greeny homes, and my mother and Pastor Jones ended up out in Valparaiso, bringing a lot of the families that were being, displaced and pushed out. They were bringing families in, and they would take care of their, all of their utilities and bills and stuff until they got on their feet. So stayed out.
So you seen Chicago in the heyday when there was almost 1,000 murders in the 90s.
Yes. We left. I left. No, I was out I left in 89. I went to Valparaiso, then I went to nursing school in Houston, Texas. I went to Texas Southern University, then graduated from Prairie View A&M University with my nursing degree. And from there,
that's the next. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying. And from there, I graduated and started travel nursing all over.
But that's the next segue I wanted to get into is as you was growing up, did you always know that you wanted to care for other people? Is that something that was in your DNA early age?
It's funny. I just saw Latanya Cole hop on. Latanya Cole's my best friend since 3rd grade. We went to St. James together. She's awesome. A part of Pink Cats, been doing real estate for over 30 years. So awesome. Tanya, I haven't gotten too much into my testimony. I'm just letting them know where I was born and raised off 29th and, I know she's muted right now, but no, actually when I was 5, I saw myself walking downtown with a briefcase full of money and some high heels. And also I saw lights, camera, action. And that's all I could remember when I was 5, like seeing that. And I just knew it always had to do with business and somewhere in film. Okay. And so I always wanted to be in film, and always thought that I was, the next biggest, hottest, greatest thing. I was, I thought I was famous in elementary school, everybody else didn't feel. But I ended up having my daughter at the age of 16. And my father said, no, you need to go to school for nursing. You need something that you'll be able to take care of that child. So that's what I did. It really wasn't my passion.
Okay.
And then me and my best friend who's on the phone, me and her both started off at TSU for nursing. I stayed and went and finished. She left, came home, and started making a hell of a lot of money in real estate and flipping houses when the market was like booming.
Yeah.
So yeah, so while I was collecting debt and pulling my hair out and getting abused physically, mentally, sexually out there in Houston, Texas, she out here making a whole lot of money and living her best life. Tanya.
Wow. Wait. Make sure she knows. I want to talk to her as well. So let me get you out the way. We're going to bring her.
Yeah. So from there, I graduated Prairie View, and I started doing travel nursing. I came back home to take care of my great grandmother on hospice. She had cancer, so I took care of her on hospice until she passed. And after that, I went back out and was like, I can't take Chicago no more. I couldn't take the weather. I was already spoiled with Houston's weather.
Yeah.
So ended up doing the traveling, came back, moved back to Indiana, got married. That didn't really much work out. So went to California. I started agent. I went out there as a travel nurse in California, Northern California, then to Southern California, out there in LA, Long Beach, Marietta. So from there, working as a travel nurse, I was working as a director of nursing for a home health company. And I had two patients, two twin girls that ended up with seizures at the age of 2 months after their second set of immunizations, which is why I don't believe in the vaccine. I'm not going to say I don't believe in vaccine because I don't know where this all is being aired to. However, I am strongly against vaccinations. So from that point, I knew that it was something in the vaccines that caused these two twins to have seizures at the exact same time. So when the girls were in kindergarten, the mother said, "Well, I want to." The nurse called and said, "Hey, Tracy, you need to contact Child Protective Services because they want to start the babies on this marijuana oil." Latanya, mute your phone, baby.
Okay.
I want to start these children on marijuana oil. And I said, well, you know what? I'm a nurse first and I'm a mother second. So let's take you off of the case and I'll put on another nurse on the case because these children have had over 22 different anti seizure medications. They're walking around like zombies. They're in helmets 24 hours a day, 7 days out the week. And do you know, we started them, not us, because it was a doctor. Anything you get with cannabis is always doctor recommended. We don't give prescriptions for cannabis. We give recommendations for cannabis. So what I told them, we'll just monitor. So they started them on a high ketogenic diet, which is a high fatty diet, along with the cannabis oils. After that first month, one of the daughters stopped seizures altogether. 3 months later, the second daughter stopped all seizures. 6 months later, we had to discharge them from the home health company. They're fourth grade, fifth grade now, and they're living fabulous lives. No helmets, no nurses. Now,
what year was this? What year are we talking?
This was in, what are we in now? 2021. So this was in 2014.
Okay.
2014 okay. In California, in Long Beach, California. And so from there, we've all had family smoke marijuana, but always taught in school it's a drug. TA, no, stay no to drugs. So with me being a nurse, our license is our livelihood. And this is what they teach you in nursing school. Your license is your livelihood. So I dare not compromise my license for my livelihood. So I said, well, what's to this cannabis that I literally saw these baby seizures stop? So
firsthand.
with it with my so I started a company, 1111 Divine Medicinal Therapy. I started doing research. I started taking classes. I started talking to the farmers. Then I became certified. I started doing my own patient-based science testing. My father had the shakes really, 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 really bad. Am I frozen? Can you hear me?
I can see you. Perfect. Okay. Everything's good.
Okay. My father's, he had really bad problems writing because he had the shakes real bad from drinking alcohol. So I brought some distillates home and said, well, Daddy, I want you to try these out for me. We're going to do it every 4 hours. And I want to monitor you from Friday to Sunday before I have to go back to California. So he did. He took it every 4 hours as prescribed by his nurse, his daughter. And when I tell you, in the beginning, he couldn't even write, his name. By Sunday evening, he was writing full paragraphs. So I said, okay. I said, so now it went into, because I knew nothing about cannabis. So I had to learn about, even if we're going to use this as a medication for healing purposes, then there has to be some type of dosage. We have to be able to monitor, right. Like, okay, whether if it's every 2 hours, every hour, every 4 hours. So that's how I started monitoring my patients. And then we started doing tests and trials on LaTanya, my girlfriend, on her family members, and on her beautician who had neuropathy. And I made her some fruit salad with a few drops of the cannabis oil in it. And she said that this was the first time in 8 years she could stand on her feet without no pain.
So let me pause you though. So you're in California, you did it. Your father was here, so you came to Chicago, did it. And LaTanya is here in Chicago as well.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So let me ask you though. So in those travels, was it legal? Was it okay to come and do that, or you just take care of your family? Like, what was the perspective there?
So, okay, I know this sounds really, really crazy, right? But I had a seller's permit through the state of California. I had a dispensary out there in California, and I was a registered nurse. Pharmaceutical salesmen travel all over everywhere with their medications. They taught us in California that this is medication.
Okay.
On TSA's rules, it said it allowed for 70 ounces of medicinal. To be allowed for you to carry. Well, it didn't say that during that time. There wasn't no what's considered medicinal. Cali, we recognized it as medicinal, but it didn't say on the airplane we cannot take marijuana. Well, most of everybody else was like, "Girl, you crazy? You can't read that." And I'm like, "What? It say we can." And so I was carrying it around with me because I had all the right credentials, so I thought.
In California, right?
In California, but they don't give you. They say, okay, so if I had a seller's permit to sell cannabis, they don't tell you how you can get it from point. So it was a gray area. They didn't tell you how you can get it from point A to point B. You could travel with it. You couldn't travel with it because I wasn't from the streets per se. I've been a professional all my life, so I don't know this other side, of the game. So, to make a long story short, I was traveling with my medication because we had prescription labels. We had to have it. We had to carry it a certain way. We had to seal it a certain way. We had to lock it a certain way, and we had to have our travel cards. We had to have our credentials when you're carrying any type of, pharmaceuticals or medication.
Right.
Ended up taking my daughter to school in Jackson, Tennessee. Not Jackson, Tennessee. And she went to Tuskegee University for veterinary medicine. So me and my two oldest daughters and another young lady was traveling to take my daughter, drop her off at school at the beginning of her sophomore year. Well, I had medicine on me that I had on me while I was traveling with her. We ended up stopping in Jackson, Tennessee for gas. Cops came up behind us. and they said they smelled marijuana, and they ended up arresting all of us, took them at, popped open locks. I gave them all my credentials, let them know this is what this is. After I told them I don't consent to you opening up and breaking my locks on my luggage, they did it anyway. And it was crazy. The officer who broke the locks off of my suitcase came and frisked me. I had on a dress. There was another female officer there, but she stood over to the side, and this man literally groped me and put his hands all under, in between my legs and everything. And my daughter was like, "Ma, is he really touching you like this in front of me?" The police didn't say anything. No one said anything.
And this out in the open?
This is out in the open in Jackson, Tennessee. You can look it up on news. And so after that, we're going, they gave us our court dates. I bonded out $12,000 for me and my daughters to go out. I let them know, this is mine. This is my medication. Here are my credentials, told them all of that. They still wanted to put everything on us. I kept going to court saying, no, I don't consent. I don't have an attorney. I don't consent. They got mad. My mom she got nervous. She was like, "Tracy, you need a lawyer." So ended up getting an attorney. They gave us an appearance date of August 6th. They bumped my court date up to July 2nd and said that we failed to appear. We didn't fail to appear.
They changed the date, right?
They changed the date on me. So they sent bounty hunters out to California. I didn't know that I had a warrant until I got arrested. And they said, "You're a fugitive." What? From where? I've been flying. I can tell you how much money I've been spending going back and forth to court. Well, so I contacted the judge. They said that they wouldn't lift it. I contacted the clerk. She said, "Oh, well, you need to come turn yourself in for 30 days. I said, "I'm not turning myself in for 30 days for your error. Please lift the warrant." They would not do it. They sent bounty hunters out to California, picked up my daughters. I left, went to Vegas to seek my counsel. He said, "No, they're lying. You get here." So we did everything we could to get the girls out. Ended up filing liens on the judge, the DA, the clerk, the bondsman, and my attorney that I had, because I couldn't understand, how is it, bondsman, that you allowed this to happen when you wrote the bond and we got the court date? You bonded me out. How is it, attorney, you showed up to court that day when they gave us the appearance date, and you're saying that they can't lift? You're not working on my behalf to get this warrant lifted to get my children up out of there. So the counsel filed the liens, right? I go home and to go visit my son, because my daughter had her baby prematurely at 7 months. The baby was 2 pounds. She was in the hospital for 2.5 months before she was able to be released. When she came home 2 weeks later, bounty hunters came and picked us up.
So give me the ages of your children, though, that is in jail. What ages were they?
That went to jail with 28. She was 26 at the time. Then my 22-year-old, she was 20 at the time.
Okay.
And then I had she was 16, and then I had a 9-year-old.
So only two got locked up, though.
Only two of us got locked up. No, all three of us got locked up. So me and the oldest two daughters.
The two daughters, right?
The younger two weren't with us on the trip to take her to school. Yeah, so they locked us. Up. I kept saying, every time I went to court, I kept saying, "I do not agree. I do not consent to these proceedings. I do not consent to your proceedings. You violated your own due process of law. I do not consent." They treated me like crap. And I kept telling my babies not to plead, because this had nothing to do with them. This was my medication. They had nothing, and They can't put this on everybody.
Right.
Well, because my daughter had just had her baby, and now they locked her up, and she was in jail for like 3 months. And my other daughter, had been in jail. They were just sick and tired of it. And this is what the system does to you.
Oh yeah.
They force you, and so they try and force you to take a plea, or they force you to do something. Well, I wasn't going, but because of them, I went on and said, okay, I'll take a plea because it was my medication. Other than that, I wasn't taking a plea because I did not choose to do business in the state of Tennessee. So I went on and took the plea for 1 year, 30% for the marijuana. And basically we had rolled that out because I was in there for 6 months. So 30%, that's 6 months, so I should have been done.
So wait. I want to make sure people can follow you. So you and your two daughters were all locked up at the same time. How did you go and seek counsel? Like, weren't you locked up? How did you go to Vegas to get counsel?
When the bounty hunters came so what happened was I had a horrible toothache that morning at 5:00 that morning. And I woke my daughter up. I said, let's go work out at the gym and I'll drop you off at school. So we went and worked out that morning. Any other time, I've never gotten up to go work out. Don't really work out at all. So I knew it was God. Went to go work out. My youngest daughter calls me and says, there's a whole bunch of men with guns, or a whole bunch of bad men here with a whole bunch of guns. And so I'm like, what? And so I'm calling, nobody's answering. This is about 8:00 in the morning now, because I'm dropping my daughter off at high school. Finally, I call again, and the bounty answers my dad's phone because I was taking care of my father, my sick father. I moved him from Chicago to California because he was having heart troubles. They answer his phone and say, you need to get here right now. You're having some problems with Tennessee, and you need to get here and sign these papers and get back there so you can go to court. I said, okay, well, you know what? Let me call my counsel and let me see what he said. No. Don't call nobody. You just need to get here. Let me call him and see what he says before I get there. I said, because I know what my parents' date said. And they kept saying, no, you need to get here. No, you need to get here. No, you need to get here. I called my counsel. He said, Tracy, no, they're going to take you. They're going to arrest you and your daughters. He said, one of you need to stay out. He said, you get here and we're going to file the paperwork to get them out. So I said, okay. And that's what I did.
That's it. Okay. All right. So fast forward, and now you ended up going to jail and your daughters were allowed to be free. Is that it?
Yeah. So once they took the plea, they released them. I signed a year at 30%. We all signed. They signed both 2 years for 2 years on probation. Time suspended. I signed a year, 30%. And I'm thinking, because I don't know, I don't do this. I'm thinking that I'm done. No, they sent me I signed a year at 30% for the marijuana, and then, and also for failure to appear. So they sent me to prison for failure to appear.
Well, how much time?
2 years.
So I'm looking at you spent 2 years locked up in jail.
In Tennessee Department of Corrections. I went from jail to prison. They sent me to prison for the failure to appear. They said I had already completed my time on the marijuana, but they had to send me to prison for a failure to appear. And I'm like, who goes to prison for a failure to appear?
Right. Well,
so when I got there, and I laid on the floor and cried out to God, and I said, Lord, what happened? I've been taking care of people all of my life. I've been taking care of my children all of my life. I've been doing, I thought was your will and in church all of my life. How did this happen? And he said, Tracy, I don't have you here on punishment. I have you here on purpose. He said, because first of all, Genesis 1:29 says, I gave you authority over every green plant that produces seed, and cannabis is my plant. He said, and I gave you authority over that. So we're not here about the weed. We're here because who else is going to pray for these people who are locked up? He said, what do you do with your greatest possessions, your gold, your silver, your diamonds? He said, you put it under lock and key, under protective custody, because you don't want nobody to take it or to steal it. He said, my best treasures are locked up behind bars. He said, so I had to put you here. And when I tell you, they did everything in their power to oppress me. I laid on cement floor ground with no mat for over 120 days on the floor. You know, they put me in rooms with where poop and urine and menstrual, you know, coming out, popping up out of the toilet. When somebody flushes their toilet, it comes up in my room and it flushes up and pops on the floor. Mold everywhere, worms coming out the ground, gnats, and this is where I'm living. This is my living condition. Now, mind you, I had a big 8-bedroom home with a 4-car garage and a jacuzzi and a pool, and living in Marietta, California. You know, I've worked hard all my life. And now it went from that to that. From 0 to 100 real quick, as they say.
The fact that you're speaking the way you're speaking now tells me it didn't break you. It seems to have made you.
No, it was the best, worst time of my life, Si. And I say it because it was the worst, because I had always been the provider for my children. And I had always, not only had I always been the provider for my children and my family, but I had always been in control. So now that I'm locked up, and my sister, who was living with me at the time, she up and left and went to Chicago. Went back home to Indiana and left my dad out there in California, and my children were kind of scattered. My children were scattered, and so my hands were tied. I couldn't do anything. And this is where trust. I learned the real true definition of trust, and trust is when you have to take your hands off.
Right. Well, you know what you can control. Did you ever think about ending it off?
No.
Excellent.
No. And the reason being is because the more they oppressed me, the more strength I got, because I saw how Joseph went to prison. I saw how Paul went to prison. I saw how Jesus went to prison, and God was showing me how to deal with the courts through the word of God. And he was saying,
okay,
with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did not answer to the king. So they threw them in the fiery furnace, and they did not open up. They said, I don't have a reason to answer you. Then Jesus also showed me when he went before Pontius Pilate, and he said, do you know who I am? I have the power to crucify you or to save you. And he said, no, you only got the power that my heavenly Father gave. So the first right that he showed was, you have the right to remain silent. That's your first God-given right. You have that right to remain. You don't have to answer to somebody who's accusing you. They have to prove it. So Then he started showing me through the word how to get out of this system. And it's only people always quote in the word Jeremiah 29:11 that says, for I know the plans that I have for you, which is plans to prosper you, and for a future and a hope. But they failed to read the ones right before that, which is when the people went into Babylon. And he sent them they were caught up in an exile in Babylon. And he said, pray for the place that has held you captive. Pray for the peace. In Jeremiah 29:7 says, pray for the peace and the welfare of the place that has held you captive. Because the prophets were prophesying that, well, no, you go get out. You getting ready to get out. And God said, that ain't what I said. I said, y'all go stay there for 7. Y'all gonna be held captive for 70 years. Don't change what I said. Y'all gonna be held captive for 70 years. So pray for the place that held you captive. So I started doing that. I started praying for the place that held me captive. And then all of a sudden, the food started changing. Then all of a sudden, the better programs started coming. Things started shifting. I started holding Bible studies. I started praying with the women when they were fighting. I'd be like, wait a minute, no, it's Miracle Monday. Come on, we need to love each other. We need to, love on each other. We already oppressed in here. So, why fight? So they always like, oh, they're from Miss Quinn.
So let me ask you this though. So Where did that come from? Did you, the minute you were sentenced, did you know then that you were going to go the spiritual route and take that and go deeper? Like, where did that come from?
You know what? Yes, I can't say that, because when the bounty hunters first picked me up and I landed, and I found myself just laying, crying out on the floor. And when God showed me the real reason why I was there, and it had nothing to do with that, there was a comfort,
Okay.
A comfort came over me.
And I wanted people to know, like, did you always know? And it sounded like you knew. So God spoke to you before you actually met the people in the jail. So that's deep. And you did 2 years in there?
I did 2 years. And so what happened, and which I know that's why it was planned, because when those liens were filed on the judge and the DA and the clerk and all of the officials, they were plotting some things against me at that time, because they took the head DA off my case, and they had to get one from Nashville, Tennessee, the capital, to come and take care of my case. Well, while I was right when it was time for me to be let go, after I called myself walking out my time in jail, they come back and say, you have 16 sealed indictments. You have a hold in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm like, a hold? Nashville? This is when I went to prison. I'm like, how do I have a hold? I've never even been to Nashville, Tennessee. And they said, well, they filed a case against you for filing liens against them. So now I had 16 indictments against me for fraudulent, what they said were fraudulent liens against them. Because when I was up,
who told you to do that? Where did that come from? Who told you to file those? Was that out of emotion?
To tell you the truth, I didn't even know that they were being filed. To be 100% honest with you, I didn't know that they were being filed at the time. Because when bounty hunters picked up the counsel, I literally was up in his bed crying in a ball for 2 weeks straight. He was filling out paperwork. And I know he would just have me running back and forth to the post office and faxing things. And then once I started figuring out everything, and I'm signing my name and crying and trying to doing everything I can to get my babies up out of it. But I know what the liens are. I know what they are, because I am a security threat.
Right, you didn't create it on your own. You had some guidance in it. You were just following suit. So let's do this, because we at the 40-minute mark, and we haven't gotten to what God has done as a result of what you've been through. We'll come back to that. But speed us up to you starting this construction firm. Right.
So and that's what I was getting to. So while I was there, I had a dream, and there was a lady said that if you, she said, God is going, because remember, I kept going to court saying I don't consent. Even when I got to prison, I still had to battle those court cases with the indictments. She said, when you hear a roar, she said, you're going to be, no, there was 2 separate dreams. She said, they're going to offer you 8 hours time suspended, and you'll be done with Tennessee. And so I said, oh, 8 hours. And this is in my dream. And I said, really? And then all of a sudden I woke up. 2 days later, I had another dream of a Godzilla tail tearing down buildings. 2 days later, in March 4th of last year, March 3rd of last year, the tornado hit Nashville, Tennessee, and tore downtown. That was my big roar. I went to court that Wednesday. They offered me 8 years time suspended. I said, the only reason I'm going to accept this is because God gave me a dream. I said, so do you mean that I will be released to go home? And they said, yes, you'll be released to go home and you'll be done with Tennessee. Came out, God told me, you're going to be a repairer of the breach. I'm going to shift you into construction. I'm going to shift you into economic development. He said, because you need to take care of the orphans. You need to take care of those back in prison ministry and the widows. We're doing the widows already. My mom is running the private care homes that we have out in Valparaiso, Indiana. And so now my heart is in reconnecting these women back with their children who have been locked up, and men it's a lot of fathers out there, single fathers who take care of their families. So reconnecting those back, and the children that are 18 years old that are being released at 18, they're being released with garbage bags back on the street without any type of financial literacy, without how to take care of themselves. So God has called me, now in my life to go back to our communities. I've been.
So let me do this. So to characterize it, you went from being in a prison, laying there with what you described, ministerial water coming up and all this here, to seeing that you can have impact, you can invest in the people that other people have given up on. And so that's like your ministry. You went through that so that you can now be able to have an impact. And what are you doing now?
So now we are out here. We are doing, so Pink Hats Construction, we're doing remodeling, development. We do single family and commercial. However, so that's what we do. However, the ministry now, we're giving back to our communities. We have over 30 seniors where we cut grass at no charge. Right now, we're doing
in Chicago.
Out in Chicago Heights, Bloom Township, in the Bloom Township area.
But our audience don't know, how did you make the shift? Like, you went from IVs in people's arms to now doing construction. How did you do
that? So I'm favored in contracts. I've been blessed. I've had a trucking company, but from the construction part, he told me he wanted me to build houses. I would be a repair of the breach. So what happened, I was at a meeting, me and a friend of mine were at an economic development meeting out in Chicago Heights with Chief Apostle McCoy. And Melvin Bailey said, you know what, you ought to start a female construction development and then let Brian do the construction. So I had invited my girlfriend there, who also worked in real estate, had years of real estate, not LaTanya, but another friend of mine. And so we decided to start the female construction company. And I'm not going to say her name.
Right.
So that's how we started. And then from there, she decided she didn't want to be associated with me. I was a felon. And so she wanted to she parted ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
There, we've done, just from July, we've done over $350,000 in in remodeling, constructing, doing. My family owns a lot of property out. So I got reconnected with my biological father since coming home. My biological sisters on my father's side, there's 10 of us. Shawana Thomas she had Fairman Construction, didn't even know she had a construction company. And I met her for the very first time on Christmas. So we joined.
Chicago?
Yes. So we joined together and partnered together our companies, and my other sister is a veteran. So now we're a triple minority company. We just broke ground in South Africa 2 weeks ago, building our first mission, putting up our first prefab home in Johannesburg, in a little town called Jerusalem, where we're doing eco village for our orphans. And so
that's another day. We're gonna talk about the Africa link with us and what you're doing there. This is huge. So you got connected to your biological family, that opened up new doors. You're doing remodeling now, that brings experience to the table. How are your prices? Is it for average everyday citizens on the block? Can they participate, or this is only for big time?
We do luxurious work at affordable prices. You can look up my first full remodel was 143rd and Wabash, 14312 South Wabash in Riverdale. And you can look how, and let me just tell you a quick story. I know how much time we got?
13 minutes.
Received a phone call, an email by the name of Jennifer Amadai, and wanted us to remodel her home. Well, she's a famous interior designer out in LA. She designs for Stevie Wonder, Oprah Winfrey, all of the wealthy people out in California. Her husband Ivan Amadei is a famous world-renowned illusionist, and they chose Pink Hats for their first remodel
How did they find you? Like, how did that connect to?
On Facebook.
So that was spiritual then. That was divine,
yes.
because
and
yeah.
So,
was, okay.
Real quick, I want to read to you what she wrote, because if you look up the house real quick, look up 14312. Look up 14312 South Wabash in Riverdale, and I'm going to read to you what she wrote. So we're going to start a nonprofit called Build Up. She wants to pitch it to the networks to where we redevelop houses out here in Chicago. So it lines up with the vision that God gave me, and also with the Women of Wealth, Angels Outreach, and what we're doing. We're linking now, empowering other women. So let me read this really quick. Why I painted a house white and black in a black neighborhood. In today's turbulent times, we're being forced to see color as the reason for the sins of our past. As someone who has a deep respect and love for the African-American community, I have been distraught over the approach we as a nation use lately to show solidarity with our fellow Americans. One of the great American heroes, Martin Luther King, said, "I pray for a day when we would not be judged by the color of our skin, but the content of our character." Yet we now find ourselves more focused on color and nothing else. When we began refurbishing a home, the intent was to serve as benefit to all residents. We wanted to show that when we put white and black colors together, they work to build something beautiful, and their differences melt into a cohesive statement of love for the community. In many ways, I feel that the current movement to empower the African-American community is at times a front to bring in more totalitarian government to our shores. My grandfather, having suffered the brutality of this type of governing, was fortunate enough to escape it in the middle of the night when the powers that be burned his village to the ground, with everyone sleeping in their beds. He watched as those he loved suffered and died from a government that held no regret or no regard for the rights of its people. They played a tyrannical game of death with no consequence. He came to this country with a pocket full of dreams and a place that welcomed diversity and gave shelter to the idea of individual rights. The past is brutal and yes, filled with injustices, but our future is what we can make it. We can't right every wrong of the past, but we can be involved in creating the future we want for our children. So I ask that when you see my little white house and my little white black and house, my little white and black house, you don't see its colors, but its invitation to build a world where color only brings us together. The time for burning communities needs to end. And then she had stated, Jennifer Amadei, famous interior designer, partners with Tracy Quinn, CEO of Pink Hats, to build up and redevelop our disadvantaged communities.
Well, I'm glad she put it in writing for you. So that's good. You got an amazing story, and I can't wait for people to go and look at the work you've done. And again, I deal with an audience at the grassroots level. What's a job that's too small? What dollar amount? Put a dollar amount on a job that's too small for you. You wouldn't come out and do something under $500, or you would?
Oatmeal beats no meal. Like we have what my goal is, it's about the violence prevention. Let's put some of these youth to work. Let's show them, let's teach them a trade. I just started, they were offering the classes, construction classes. I just started with Miss Karen Youngblood with Chicago Works. And I just started my construction class today to learn about time management and construction management, and to learn some of these skills that I don't have. Okay. So no, there's not a job too small or a job too big, because with Reven and I'm also now part of the Black Contractors organization. Now I have subs that I feel comfortable and confident to call, no matter if it's something that's in competition with Walsh Construction, or right. If it's something just as simple as a demo. You know, I just glazed the tub 2 days ago. So there is not a job too small, and we are competitive. We have competitive prices.
So the way I see it, and for our audience, we're in 20 zip codes in Chicago, We have governors over every zip code. So again, doing this interview was important for them to get to know you as the person. And I think we did that well. You got to get your number and contact info too. But the way I see it is a majority of our leaders are women, and it's a movement among women to be there for other women. So I can see that being a niche as well. But also with the children getting ready to be out of school, helping them be in a pipeline to learning these skills. And I'm glad that you spoke that. So that's it. Another reason why they should procure and do business with you, so we can get more of our young people.
I need some young people. We got 150 yards we're doing, and I would love to put some of these youth to work. I need help. You know, we got 97 units that we're going to be putting hanging doors and baseboards and kitchen cabinets and cabinets. We need help. So that's my goal, is to empower and to employ. Our seniors, you know, they need help. Who's help? The grass where we went today, you know, at her house came to damn our shoulders. Why is the queen, why is the mother's house like this on the block where Lil Durk and everybody else is from? Why are they allowing this? Well, why are they not coming saying, hey, ma'am, they know they see her going up these stairs in the wheelchair. Why is her backyard looking like this? How many seniors are living in deplorable conditions?
Well, this is what I love to say. We all suffer from degrees of trauma. The good news is you're ready to do something about it. I'm ready to do something about it. So we get why. Let's just press forward and do it. And I'm looking forward to making sure that you meet our people. How do people reach you? How do they connect with you?
They can connect on Pink Hats, www.pinkhatsconstruction, DEV, short for development, and GRP, short for group. So www.pinkhatsconstruction.devgrp.com. They can call 1-800-PINK-HATS, no, 1-844 PNKHATS. Let me get the number for you because I don't remember.
I was gonna say, can you get a number again?
I got it. Yeah, it's 1-844-765-4287. I'm also on Instagram. We're on Facebook. They can look me up on Facebook at Nurse Tracy Quinn, TraciQuinn. We're putting together some job programs. We're getting ready to put together some transitional homes for our women, those coming out of prison, some of our vets. We're going to be putting transitional homes together for them. So we want to come out, get some of these abandoned homes, remodel these homes, put some of these youth in there. Let's teach these youth importance of home ownership, financial literacy, importance of credit, and the importance of owning your own land, owning your own home, having some type of hard assets, because you never want to be in a place where the government got all control. You want to have control over your assets. So we got to teach them.
You are a blessing. I thank you for your journey, and we look forward to the book one day, because people need to know how they can persevere because they got a living example. So you gave your number out. I'm looking forward to meeting you in the next week or so, and then we go work together.
Yes, and thank you, Raven, so much, even for the connection. I love how he is pushing women of wealth out there. We're a group of 16 ladies that have our own businesses, and we're empowering each other to come out and make an impact out here in society and in our communities. Everybody can go out to Hollywood, make all this money, but do they come back and give back and help back, and help? So that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. And God called it, so he go make the provision for it all. So
Raven,
I'm excited.
Raven, close us out. Raven, what you got to say about this interview? Hopefully your phone will allow you to speak.
Well, I'm just to hear the story, how our endurance as a people and a culture, and still we rise. The 100-year anniversary of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we're still pushing forward. We just got to connect and just thank God for what he's done to her, and she's moving and giving back at another level. So man, we just got to continue, as Brother Quasi say, just do the work. And then I believe that I'm asking God how long. So we can ask him how long, because we've been through enough fire and brimstone.
That, Reven, I'm gonna answer that. I believe God is saying this summer, and the connections that you helping to make, I believe it's going down in the next 90 days. So we'll see. But I'm excited. I thank both of you guys, and let's just press forward. All right, peace.